Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and appreciate you guys checking out today's video. And guys, today I have got a trick to share with you with the soft plastic stick bait like a Zoom Zlinky or Senko. I want to show you guys a technique that I use to catch fish on it. It's a different type of a rigging technique, and really from about March into late May, this is about the only way I fish it. And I catch a ton of fish on it, good fish, lots of fish. So I'm going to share with you guys how to do that in today's episode here. Also, guys, before we get started, speaking of springtime coming up, March and April, I'd just like to invite everybody to please check out my spring Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. If you guys are getting ready for spring season coming up just around the corner, it's a great resource, guys, to learn more about your favorite lake or a lake you've never been on before. Each map that I build gives you 40 GPS waypoints you can put right into your GPS unit, and you can go right there, and it gives you tips and advice on how to fish that spot and the baits to use on it. And then you can duplicate that on your own in different parts of the lake. So I'll put my lake map breakdown link in the description of the video. And also, guys, I'll link all the components that I'm talking about today for the soft plastic stick bait technique and my tackle warehouse link in the description of the video if you guys would like to pick some up after the video is done. So appreciate that. Okay, guys, soft plastic stick bait, arguably probably the #1 bass catcher in the past 25, 30 years in bass fishing. The advent of the Senko I don't want to say it was an innovation, because it's basically a fat straight tail plastic worm. And, you know, straight tail plastic worms have been around for 60 plus years. I remember using the old cream scoundrel worms, and it's basically a thin Senko is what it is. But when Yamamoto came out with the Senko, they really salt impregnated it. And they made it a larger diameter. But the main thing that set the Senko aside for a new lure category was the salt impregnation and the diameter of the bait, and bass just loved it, and a lot of different companies copied it and made it. The one that I prefer, guys, this is the Zoom Zlinky right here. I like it for a couple different reasons. Number one, it's salt impregnated, but it doesn't have as much salt as the Senko does. The Senko has got so much salt in it that it really sinks fast. And the Zoom Zlinky here, guys, has got half the salt, so it sinks about half the rate on there. And I like that little bit fall rate there. So this Zoom Zlinky is the one that I've got here. Okay, now the rigging technique that I'm going to show you is basically a shaky head setup, but it's a little bit different of modification, and it's a different size you got to get into. So I'm going to show you how to rig it, and then we're going to get into the situations it works in. This is the most critical component of the whole thing. This is the Gamakatsu tricky head, shaky head, 1/16 ounce. Now, most people don't use a 1/16 of an ounce on a shaky head. They use like a 1/8 ounce or a quarter. You've got to use the 16th size for this technique, and I'll put the tricky head in my tackle warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to get a pack here along with the Zoom Zlinky. But the 1/16 of an ounce combined with the slower fall rate of this Zlinky gives this thing a perfect descent that the fish just love that time of year. And another thing about this tricky head, it's got an O'Shaughnessy bend in it, guys. And this is not a round bend. This O'Shaughnessy bend hooks you can see right here, it hooks them a lot better than a round bend. This is so critical in a shaky head. It's got a nice 10 keeper there that doesn't never lose the thing. Perfect length, so it's just my favorite. So what I do with this Zlinky, guys, like I said, first of all, I'll rough them up a little bit, like you guys have heard me talk about before. Try to get that salt to the surface. And what this does, changes the look of the bait a little bit, yet it makes it softer, more pliable, more action to it. Come in about probably 1/4 of an inch off the head there, just like that. Come through and seat the head of your worm with the keeper there so it doesn't come out. And then come all the way through the bait with it, completely all the way through, like that. And what you want to do, see I've got it all the way through, is create this channel. Now creating this channel is really important on the Zlinky or the Senko, because the fat diameter of this worm is a lot of plastic to penetrate. So by going back and forth like that, you make that channel. And then I'm going to lay the hook point. See how that hook is exposed like that? That's how I want to fish it. I just lay it flat like that, and it's surprisingly weedless. Guys, unless you're fishing around timber or a lot of brush or something, you can fish this on any type of rocky or gravelly bank and you'll never get hung up like that. If I am getting hung up, say it's a little bit snaggier than what I expect, all I do is come back and I'll just barely put the point of that, hook point in the worm. Now it's completely weedless, but I prefer to let that hook point hang out just like that right there. I want that point hooking out. You'll hook a lot more fish. Thing about a shaky head, especially like on a fatter one like this, is a shaky head, you'll lose a lot of fish on them if you don't rig them right and use the right outfit that we'll talk about here in a second. But that's the setup, how I use it like that. Okay, now most of the time I'm using it on 2 different type of pound test line. I prefer to use 8-pound test Seaguar and Vizix line. If I'm fishing a little bit heavier cover or shallower, I'll go to 10-pound test Seaguar and Vizix, but 8 is my go-to. The combination of that 8-pound test fluorocarbon with the 1/16 of an ounce head and the Zlinky, you got this nice horizontal fall through the water like that, and it just undulates through the water. It's like super natural like that. Bass just absolutely love this thing that time of year. Most of the time I'm throwing it on that same Mega Bass 6-foot 11-inch rod that I use, and that Lews hypermag spinning reel, and I'll link all that stuff in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description also. Okay, now let's talk about where you want to fish this and when you want to fish it. Now, this is going to work best when your water temperature is between 55 to 70 degrees. So you've got a pretty good window here. This window, depending upon the part of the country that you live in, it's going to be anywhere between say mid-March, something like that, maybe early March if you're down south, up into the mid part, maybe even late into May, depending upon the weather patterns. So you've got about a 3-month period during the springtime of the year where this setup is really effective. And again, it's all about the whole mood and the personality of the bass that time of year with, the spawn before, during, and after. Water temperatures are set up perfect. The zone that the fish are living in, everything together comes, together for this thing to be really good. Here's what I look for, the ideal situation. First of all, I want to have water clarity of at least 3 foot. 3 to 5 foot visibility is really good. You can, maybe 2.5 foot, something like that. But I really like, if you give me a perfect water visibility for it, I would pick a water visibility of around 3 to 5 foot. And that zone is going to be perfect. That gives you the sight option of the bait, and it seems like you get a lot more bites under those conditions. Next thing is like where you want to fish at this time of year. There's a lot of different type of areas, and they sort of move and change a little bit. I start out when the water temperature is in the 50s, either fishing channel banks with it or secondary points. Now these are staging areas for the fish to get ready to move up to spawn once that water temperature starts to get into the 60s. So here's the perfect setup that I'd give you guys. Say pick out a major creek in the lake you're fishing and find some coves that are fairly flat in the back end of those coves. Then come out back to the main creek and go to your nearest steepest bank or the point leading into that cove. And these are places the fish will set up on up until about when that water temperature starts to get around 60 degrees, and then they'll start filtering back and moving back in the cove. So I start out fishing those steeper banks and the secondary points, and as that water temperature gets a little bit closer to 60, I'll start throwing the shaky head setup back in the coves, just going down the bank with it, fishing anywhere between, say, 3 to 10 foot deep, depending upon the clarity of the water. You don't have to have any targets. You can just throw to bare sand, rock, gravel, whatever it is. You don't have to have any targets to throw to, and just start fishing my way all the way back in the cove. Now, once the water starts warming up and those fish are done spawning, those same fish will do the same thing. They'll come back out of those coves and they'll set up again on those secondary points that they were moving into to begin with, and I'll just start fishing those secondary points with the shaky head setup again back like in mid to late May. That's sort of the how I like to go about it. But guys, it'll catch you a lot of fish, and it'll catch good ones too. It's like this is a bait it's one of the few baits that I have seen that catches numbers and size of fish. You can catch, I've caught many days where I've caught 50 to 75 bass in a day, and also I've had many days where I've caught fish over 5 pounds on them. So it's just a really good bait for bass in general. They just love the thing that time of year. And I don't really do that good on it any other time of year. The only other time of year that I've had good success with this is on some of the Coosa River lakes in the summertime. So if you guys are fishing like Logan Martin or Lay Lake or something like this, guys, try skipping this thing under those pier docks on those Coosa River lakes. Those big spotted bass will eat it up. I've had a ball down there, fishing this type of a setup on those Coosa River lakes, in warmer weather. So Anyway, guys, give it a try. Like I said, I'll put that link, the jig head link, in my description here, along with the Zlinky link, and make it part of your arsenal this spring. You'll catch some good fish. So, hope it helps. We'll talk later.